All right, everyone, welcome. Good morning. It's a beautiful day. The sun is shining. The birds are chirping, which is something nice to see in a time of crisis that we're going through right now. Thank you so much to Amherst Town Supervisor Brian Kulpa for jumping on with us today to give us insight and to answer any questions that you may have. Before we get started, I just want to mention that if you have any questions, there is a question and answer box either at the top of your screen or at the bottom. So feel free throughout the presentation. Supervisor Kulpa, AJ, and myself will be able to see those questions. You can also raise your hand and we can call on you through there. You are all muted. And once I see a question come in, I'm able to unmute you. But without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to AJ.
All right, thanks, Olivia. I want to thank the supervisor for being with us today, and I want to thank everybody for jumping on this call. We really appreciate everyone's participation, and we recognize that during these trying times that the Chamber needs to continue to disseminate the information properly to our membership and just keep everybody up to speed on potential funding opportunities, what's going on in the town, what's going on in the county, what's going on in the state and the federal level. We are working our hardest, albeit remotely. We are in constant communication at the Chamber. Every morning we do a Zoom conference call, and then throughout the day, each of us are touching base with one another. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email any one of us. You can find our emails on our website, or you can just email our generic info@amherst.org. or any questions, comments, concerns. If you're unaware of what the new regulations are, I know over the last week, we went from, I think it was keep a safe social distance to 25% work at home to 50% work at home to 75 to 100%. Everything is moving extremely quickly. And, I just want to say it's just been an absolute joy to work with this team. Through these trying times, everybody has been all hands on deck, and we recognize with the membership there are a lot of questions out there, and we are doing our best to get those answers to you as fast as we can. With our restaurants, they were worried about sales tax collection. Some were worried about liquor laws, renewals, and how they could provide takeout services. We've had some businesses reach out to us. We've also been helping to broker mask and sanitation equipment for some of the healthcare providers. And then on the health insurance end, for those of you who do receive health insurance through the Chamber, if you have any questions, please reach out to Penny, Olivia, or Christine, and they'll help you through this. We recognize that, this is not going to be just a rainy day. This could be a few weeks here or potentially months, but again, we're all keeping a positive face on this, and we're all trying to work through this as best as we possibly can. And I want to thank the supervisor for taking the time. I know there's a lot going on in the town of Amherst right now. There's a lot of questions that he has to deal with on a day-to-day basis from constituents, but also from just running town government. So, Supervisor, thank you for being with us, and I look forward to your presentation. What I would ask is if anyone has any questions, please use the question and answer box. Olivia will see through those questions, but why don't we let the supervisor go through his presentation, and then from there we'll take it to question and answer. So, Supervisor, thank you very much.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for having me and for making it possible. It's less than ideal situation when we have to do this via web, but nevertheless, I'm happy to have the opportunity to interact with people. I know businesses are going through a lot. I'll say as government, we're essentially a $130 million a year corporation with 1,000 employees, and I don't have the luxury of kind of laying low with any of it. We're sort of front and center with a lot of this. So we've been suffering right along with a lot of your businesses. Obviously, we don't have the profit issue to worry about, but nevertheless, I think as we go through some of what we're working on, we'll find ways that we can work together. The government and the business cycle, certainly, we would like to see at the end of the day, everybody come out of this and come out of this in a way that's meaningful, in a way that can see return to productivity. And with that, what I really want to talk about is what's going on in the town, and then leave it for questions and answers. So first, we've been dealing with this issue since about mid-March. AJ knows that well because he, I think about 2 weeks ago, he and I were on our way back from Albany when I was really kind of wrapping my head around what to do with, at the time, was a simple hockey tournament. Since then, this thing's obviously ratcheted up very quickly. We were the first local community to really declare a state of emergency. It'd been sort of pushing that, as towns were talking about doing it. Of course, the county executive came out and did his the same day. Ultimately, we knew that was going to send us on an interesting spiral for a week, because once we did that, we had to start talking about how we were going to manage the emergency. So for us, that meant opening an emergency operations center. The following day, it's at our new police headquarters, our new police community training facility on Bailey at the old Harley Davidson. That building's set up basically and is being operated as a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week emergency operations center. We have sort of centralized command over all things COVID-19 coming out of that location. That's allowed a lot of our other town departments to function without having to wear the burden of COVID decision makings. So last week was really about taking programs offline and sending people home to work from home and trying to figure out how to keep a lot of our services up and running. So we're sort of operating a virtual government at this point. You'll see if you're in the construction or development field, you'll see building inspectors are still working. They're doing plan reviews. They're just doing it remotely. They're still processing, town business. We're processing certificates of occupancy. We're still doing fire inspections. We're trying to keep up and get through some of our backlog and make sure that we're moving business along so that business can operate and construction can go, so that when we come out of this thing, we've still had some gains underneath us. But we've had to reinvent service delivery in the town. For those of you who don't know, we have a huge Meals on Wheels program, and our Meals on Wheels program's backed by a lot of volunteers who frankly fall in the age range of 60 to about 80. And that volunteer group kind of had to fall off. They couldn't be going door to door delivering meals to people. We also decided we had to professionalize that in terms of making sure we could control how people interacted and what they did in terms of infection control precautions. So we actually took our rec staff, which is all home, our recreation department staff, and turned them into Meals on Wheels operators. So our rec staff is supplanted or now completely dealing with our existing Meals on Wheels demand, and we've turned a corner and we're able to now offer more meals to more seniors. So anybody who came to congregate dining at our senior center, they are now eligible for Meals on Wheels. And we have a call-in number. And if seniors say, look, I'm distressed and I need access to food, then we're going to find a way to get food delivered to those people. So that was a great thing that started to happen. Our court staff, for anybody who doesn't know, our courts have been sort of shut down by the state. Our court staff was sent home. We turned our court staff into a phone bank operation. They are basically calling the 10,000 plus seniors registered with our senior center and doing wellness and health checks. Not from a medical standpoint, but they're checking in. Is there anything you need? Is there anybody in your household that is suffering from a problem of any kind? And then we're working with our social workers to see how we can possibly get them aid in these times. Beyond that, you know, we have basically scurried many of our departments into operations that might not be second nature to them. But if you look around the town, I think you'll find the town's up and operating. It's a little bit of a ghost of itself at times, but nevertheless, we keep moving ahead. We've had to adapt Zoom and WebEx conferences for a lot of our meetings. Our committee meetings that we thought would be offline until all of this changed, our committees are going to start meeting via Zoom and WebEx so that they can continue the good, productive work that our volunteer committees do. We're going to continue, we're going to revamp and hold planning board meetings. If you're in the development arena or the land use arena, you'll know that Amherst uses public hearings for all site plan reviews. One of my executive orders was to waive the need for public hearings for site plan review. That'll give the planning board an opportunity to meet soon and hold a public meeting via Zoom and actually be able to process site plans again. You know, in all, we don't know how long this is going to last. If you talk to the governor's office, they'll tell you somewhere between 14 and 21 days is when they expect there to be an apex and then to see us on the downside of the curve. But there's obviously going to continue to be a disruption to service. As things reopen, as stuff comes back online, like an earthquake, we expect there to be tremors and reactions that occur long after we get through the major curve. And so as we look at those little spikes, we're going to have to be diligent about what a reopening situation will look like here in the town. You know, right now, we know that if we abide by social distancing, we can flatten this curve out. If we flatten the curve, then we'll get through it a little bit quicker. We'll be able to come back online, but we don't want to see a major spike. So reopening is actually going to be a lot harder than it was shutting it down. I could shut stuff down with executive orders. I could send people home and tell them to wait until we get them connected. Reopening is going to overwhelm some of our departments like finance and human resources, you know, IT. So we've already been talking about, last week I started talking about with my emergency operations center that regardless of how long this thing took, we were going to have a reopening plan. And so I've already started to to put a group of people together to create a staggered reopening plan where we're not trying to throw all of our services online at one time. So we're going to also be putting together a recovery plan because you all know better than I how this is going to touch Amherst's economy, touch the regional economy, and touch our lifestyle. So, you know, I'm going to task Lori Stillwell, who's our community development director within our planning department, with leading the effort. We're going to start to build a full recovery plan that will seek to prioritize projects, make sure that we have the right emphasis on the right project, whether it's an infrastructure project, whether it's an economics project, whether it's a service project. AJ doesn't know this, but I'm going to ask the chamber to have AJ or another representative participate in that. We want the chamber, you know, to be a part of and a meaningful part of what Amherst does in terms of recovery. We think that by starting to put together a recovery plan, we can be one of the municipalities that gets that out there and gets that done first and best. And that's going to help position us with the state and feds to make sure that we're in line to see benefits come back, to see stuff gets processed. We kind of have an unprecedented opportunity here to rethink a lot of things. The way we handle stuff, the way we move projects through the town, the way we create service delivery, the way we partner with outside agencies. So, you know, we should all take advantage of that opportunity in my mind. And then, you know, big projects that were on the board, you know, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, they're going to continue. We're still making progress on West Side Interceptor project, which is a huge deal for anybody dealing with sewer problems on the west side of town. We're still moving forward with meetings with, albeit web meetings now, about Central Park and Westwood. The South Campus area plan with UBRI continues to move forward. We're moving forward with our bid documents for Mile Vision and at all of our intersections. The Boulevard Mall, we continue to have discussions with Douglas Jamal. We have projects that he's already looking at as phase 1 projects. The town of Amherst has phase 1 projects in mind as well for that area. And we're going to be looking to execute those moving forward. Now, ultimately, we can't help what happens at the state and federal level in terms of schedules and finance. But within the town, we can adapt and we can control our own course and our own direction. And that's what we're looking to do. So that's really what I had to share and to say. I don't have my normal PowerPoint over my right shoulder. So, but I did want to open it up for questions from anybody who may be online or from the chamber in terms of, anything you may have. If I can answer it, great. If not, I promise we'll get you an answer.
Supervisor, thank you very much for that presentation there and just kind of bringing everybody up to speed. Just a quick question for you, a couple questions that I had that had come into me, but just we had talked about it last night and we talked about it this morning on the call early on before everybody was jumping on. But is there a reason in particular why Amherst is outpacing other municipalities in this area for this virus?
Yeah, I've had conversations with Mark Polenkars about this at the county. First, a lot of the, in Western New York, the virus wasn't homegrown. It needed to travel in with people. So there was a lot of out-of-state travel. And there was a lot of people coming in from, whether it's from the west side of New York or from around the world. The more affluent towns, right? If you look at what happened in New York City, Westchester County was the first hit. More affluent towns seem to be sort of on the front end of this thing because people have more propensity to travel. So in the early screenings, Amherst showed up very quickly. We also have a testing center now in Amherst, and I think people are pretty diligent about calling their primaries and getting set up for testing. So, I don't suspect that we're really as far ahead as the numbers show. I think it's more a case of access to healthcare, and a lot of a lot of out of town travel has shown it early here.
Thank you. So I see that Laura Zeppel has a question. And Laura, you are unmuted.
Okay. Just can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, guys. So Brian, thank you so much for doing this call. I think this is very effective, and to stay as engaged as you are and as the town are is the best that we can do at this crazy time in history. But as a real estate developer, I know you had mentioned, site plans and that sort of thing, but can you tell me what and how you're operating with regard to, say, building permits? Are we in a place yet with the town where we can do it virtually? We can do it, with videos, and how are you handling the building permit issue going forward?
Yeah, so all of our building department is actively working remotely. They are doing site plan approvals through our planning department. Then when they get into the building department, they're going through and doing plan approvals remotely. If plans get, if it's a big plan set and really requires a hard copy, we are getting hard copies delivered to town hall and then disseminated out. People are kind of coming here like a library and taking the plan set home. So they're still actively working, building comments. And then on the inspections end, we're out there, on all the sites that we need to be. as we get calls for somebody's moving into electrical, or somebody needs to, get an approval on a fire, fire suppression system. Our guys have been out there, doing our inspections and moving those inspections through. So at the moment, the building department is, fully operational. And it's something we've been telling contractors, don't hesitate to set up an appointment. We're asking people to call the department or email the department to first find out, how the department wants to handle. If it's a small project and it can be simple, single or multiple PDFs, or if it's a really complicated project, then we're setting up appointments and trying to work through those. So you can imagine WS Development at Station 12 has they're going into a period where they're going to draw back their workforce a little bit because of the nature of their site. They don't want too many people in too close a contact. But we've worked with them to make sure that we can get them to a point where they're comfortable drawing back. And, if you go out there, construction continues. There's people on that site. That's a big site. Lots of buildings, very complex. We're still moving through. We're still handling the projects.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you for everyone writing in on the question and answer box, and please be sure to use it if you do have a question. Our next question comes from Alan Dembski. What will be the partnership with the Amherst IDA going forward to assist smaller business?
So the first thing, we're today hoping to get a little clarification on what the feds are going to make available to local municipalities in terms of block grant assistance for small business. Lori Stillwell, who is our sort of block grants coordinator, is going to be sitting through that. She has sort of been tasked with focusing on some of those items in recovery. So if there is a way we can get involved directly as a town, that'll be tremendous. The IDA has certain restrictions and certain provisions it can take on. The restrictions on an IDA are basically a creation of New York State legislation. So moving forward, we're going to look at what types of restrictions may impede the IDA from getting involved with companies, and if there are ways that we can go to the state and ask the state for for exemptions to those restrictions, we will. But it's with the IDA, it's a case-by-case basis. I think AJ would tell you that Dave Menjoya, myself, AJ are all talking fairly regularly and fluidly, and we're going to look to work together to solve some of the problems that we see come up here. And we may have to think about doing stuff that's a little bit non-traditional, but that we're going to kind of take it as it comes. I would really have to know the business and what the needs were of the business in order to give you a little bit more of an answer. But just know that for me, the IDA is a tool that the town always is willing to put on the table for use, and it's something that if we can help, we absolutely will make it available.
So speaking of tools, David Menjoya from the Amherst IDA has wrote in the chat box. They are open and everyone is working remotely, and they can also have access to public hearings remotely as well. And he also mentioned that on amherstida.com, there is a COVID-19 business resource page. So if you have any questions, you can visit their website. Our next question is from Michael Montante of Uniland. What can we do to help the town of Amherst work through this crisis?
So I've gotten this question a couple of ways from people who want to get involved either with the town or some people have said, Brian, what can we do for you specifically? I said, for me specifically, just buy me a drink when this is all over. But in terms of the town, look, obviously everything requires a certain degree of patience. The town has really done pretty well in terms of outlay of labor, pushing people in the direction where we can be effective having our police, our first responders, our dispatch officers all up, fully functioning. The sort of the next steps to this are going to be, you know, the town still has to maintain and keep open several buildings. You know, we may start to struggle with that a little bit. AJ was helpful yesterday getting me in touch with somebody as the town needs cleaning products, for instance. We're going to need some resources available to help find those things. But you know, the biggest thing that business can do for the town right now is continue to talk and continue to move projects in a forward direction. We don't want people to kind of rest back and say, you know, well, hey, look, at the town of Amherst is like everybody else. We're gonna sort of recede here a little bit and sort of relax or rest on our laurels. We want to keep people focused in positive directions. So the more, you know, the town, the more I've had to sort of step back into the realm of operations and remove my department by happenstance, not by decision, to more of an operations-based group, the more we need the private sector to come in and start talking about economic development and filling the void about talking about economic development. And you know, we don't have the same time or resource to commit to that we used to. I don't know if that answers the question, but finding a way to sort of step in and solid up the town's economic development capacities and direction would be something that would be really beneficial to us right now.
Perfect. Brian, is there anything else you'd like to just add in there that we haven't thought of on our end?
You know, I think that, you know, everybody in this town, I've driven around the town. I can see what businesses have done. You know, I know everybody's practicing good social distancing. You know, we have a number of stores like Walmarts and Targets and Home Depots and Lowe's that, you know, this time of year, as people are working out in their yards a little bit more, are going to start to ramp up their nurseries, or would normally be ramping up their nurseries and their spring sales and stuff. Those types of things, those are ancillary items. They may be something you want to work on, or people want to work on for projects around their house, but they create crowds and they create social interaction issues for us, and they cause us more problems in terms of virus spread. So, you know, talking to your employees, setting up, you know, I have at town hall, we're saying, look, nobody go out and buy annuals. If there are, you know, if you have seeds from annuals last year, let's do a seed share program. Let's think about other ways that we can avoid the typical sort of spring rush of stores that occurs, and try to keep people out of those environments. Those are really our biggest problems for social distancing right now. We've unfortunately had to sign our playgrounds for no use. They were just getting overwhelmed. You know, and you know, the unfortunate thing is the rhetoric on this is, you know, don't go near people, basically social distance, and it'll flatten the curve. But really, that's our only option at the moment. So until there's an antiviral out there, we have to keep trying to find ways to keep people from creating, you know, social contact. And it's not easy. So think about your own companies. Think about what you could do within your companies with people who may be working remotely to find ways to get them to avoid sort of the trappings of going into big box retail, unless they're just there for groceries, you know, or trying to get them to get outside and walk and use parks, but not necessarily congregate, use playgrounds. And if everybody can focus on those things, then we'll be better off as a whole.
Thank you, Supervisor. And for our listeners and our callers today, I really appreciate everybody being on. I know we have a wide range of businesses that are on, from small and large scale. And for those of you who, feel that their business is essential to keep the economy moving forward and have submitted waivers to Empire State Development and have not received any callbacks, if you feel that you fit in that area of being an essential business, please reach out to me. You could do ajbaines@amherst.org, and I will be sure to follow up with Empire State Development. They have been absolutely inundated with waivers to the point where it was just too many for them to handle. But I do have some good contacts over there that have been getting back to me in less than 30 minutes to see whether or not that business fits in the model there. I see we have one more question on here, and yes, we do plan on having updates on a regular basis going forward. I would highly suggest everybody check our social media pages, albeit Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We are continuing to put out information as it comes in. We are also looking and working with the SBA. We'll be on a conference call tomorrow morning regarding the disaster loans that they're putting out there for some relief for small businesses, and we'll get some more details on that. And we will also be putting out a weekly email blast. If you didn't read the one that went out the other day, please check your email boxes. There's a lot of content in there, a lot of links regarding opportunities that are out there for your businesses. And as everybody, I'm sure, saw yesterday, that the federal government finally agreed upon a stimulus package, and they voted to approve a $2 trillion spending package. The details continue to work themselves out. Something of this magnitude, there's a lot of moving parts, but we'll be there. I was on the phone with Congressman Higgins's office yesterday. I had a few questions from smaller scale businesses regarding how the unemployment side of things was going to work if they were to bring back employees onto the payroll, and what the reimbursements were going to look like. So we are trying to keep everybody up to speed as fast as we possibly can. Our team is working round the clock. We are working remotely. We are practicing social distancing, but we are here for you. And if there's anything anybody needs, please just feel free to reach out. We look forward to staying in touch with everybody as we move along. And if there's anything, just again, info@amherst.org is the general email box that goes to everyone. But if you have a specific question, our emails are on our website. Supervisor, thank you once again for joining us. We really appreciate it. Liv, thanks for putting this together this morning. And I know you've got some programming set up next week as well. We will be bringing in an HR specialist to talk about what next in terms of how this is going to work for employees, whether it's future vacation times, layoffs, working from home rules and regulations. And then also we'll have Alan Dembski on to talk about the implications with the stock market and lending and borrowing. And also we will have Block Club coming on talking about creative ways to market your business during these trying times. So thank you, everyone, once again for being here. We really appreciate it. And as the supervisor said, we are all working together, and we are all trying to get through this as best as we can. And our counterparts, Dave Manjoy over at the Amherst IDA, and the supervisor and I have been in constant communication. We look forward to helping everyone through this crisis. So thank you.